We are now 5-1. That's a quick trip. Quality, elite, guarantee. It's just another way. Quick Trip you covered.
9 to noon, ready to go. We got the two best pulling guards in the business, Kuhn and Billy, ready for a little bit of power toss crap, right?
I love that. That's great. Because a lot of people said the fullback was just the third guard that they lined up behind the quarterback. So I love
athletic one.
I'll take that. I love it.
Boys,
athletic or small?
Yes.
Maybe both. A little bit of both at the same time. Smaller, more athletic guard. Yeah, I'll take it.
All right.
It's been a while since I heard
Kuhn
that.
wanted to reopen the argument about last night's ejection, agreeing with Josh, saying the umps were too involved.
Thank you.
I said, look, these umps get graded, and so this ump was going to get downgraded by his supervisors because it was an obvious attempt at retaliation, even though it was handled in a pretty, perfunctory manner. Nobody was hurt. That some supervisor nerds and like, no, so clearly attempt at a beanball, and we're supposed to be protecting these pitchers.
You talk about hurt. The feelings weren't even hurt. Cap's feelings weren't even hurt. He was like,
I know.
I got to take one. I'm going to take it right on the hip. I'm going to dog down at first base, and everything will be done. Both dugouts were like, okay, here we go, tit for tat. This thing's done. Hap didn't. I mean, obviously, Hap with the super long follow through did not mean to hit his boy. Because they are boys.
They won a World Series together. Yeah.
They did play together for like 5 years.
So he wouldn't have done it intentionally.
So he didn't do it intentionally, but he knew,
carelessly.
Hey, you're not supposed to do this, and I got to take my plunk. I'm going to take my plunk, and everything's going to be done. We can play 8 more innings now. That was just –
I guess my
the
thing –
umpire worried about himself? Worried about a downgrade?
Yeah. Saving my fire for those. Billy, there was a game last week.
No, they do that on purpose, Abe. They do that on purpose. They intentionally do ridiculous, egregious show stuff so that you lay off the stuff that's not as bad. It's still crossing the line. It's still the show. Every infraction is a penalty.
Billy, do you know what game it was last week in which an umpire leaned in to overhear a mound visit? And then out of the blue, ejected one of the coaches.
Yeah, I missed that. I heard you talk about that during the break.
Texters, help us out. What game was that? It was a Blue Jays game, I believe. It might have been Blue Jays Mariners. I don't know what the context was.
And that's why nobody knows.
Well, I know. But still, I saw the clip and I go, that's the most outrageous thing I've ever seen. How can an ump even do that? And I asked one of my baseball buddies, I'm like, did the umpire explain himself? And he goes, hell no, they never explain themselves. Yeah. They never have to answer.
No, there's no such thing as a pool report. There's no such thing as a post-game wrap where there's any quotes.
No L2M in baseball, right?
No, there's no last 2-minute report. But to your point, Zabe, they do get graded, and they're more publicly scrutinized now than ever before. So I understand.
But are they better? I'm not sure they're any better.
Oh, absolutely not. No, that's difficult to say.
This wasn't a one ump making the decision. It was all right, let's huddle up, decide how we want to do this,
right, Josh,
which is exactly why the announcers were like, now they'll come out, they'll give the warnings to both benches. I mean, it seemed like the announcers were going through the protocol, and then instead it was,
yeah. Well, they have to huddle because they have to have the conversation with the crew chief, and I don't believe the crew chief was the one behind the dish, if I remember correctly, right? So they have to have that conversation with the CC. I'm with you, Zabe, more than that. Like, I've seen a lot of dumb things done by umpires to make themselves a major part of the game.
Right.
This one I'm not going to freak out about. Michaelis, you had your chance. You missed him. All right,
that's right.
You get one.
You get one bite.
You get one
warning.
throw.
We'll give the warning then after the first throw.
The umpire, one of the texters said the umpire screwed up because he's required to give a warning if you're going to eject on the next pitch. So he might get downgraded for that anyway.
There is no rule saying that a warning has to be issued before an ejection comes out.
It's not in the rules. Okay,
it's a suggestion.
It's also not in the rules. It's also not in the rules that you have to be thrown out for missing your first attempt at a beanball.
Well, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. You're grooving a 94-mile-an-hour heater, and when you can reach back and hit 97, and you're going to miss them? Come on. You get one. You missed him in the rib cage. Michaelis,
the moment's passed.
Get yourself on over here. Moment's passed. We're done with that joke already.
Yeah, but then Michaelis would have been downgraded, and he couldn't take that either. So he had to go through
Just
it.
Otherwise,
he's getting
sensitive
downgraded.
downgraders around here.
Right.
Good Lord.
Can I go around the horn and see who's ready for Robo Ump 3000 yet? Kuhn, are you ready for Robo 3000?
No.
Billy, you ready for Robo
then who are we going to
3000?
complain about?
Yeah.
Fair. I've been ready.
You've been ready.
I've been ready.
Josh, you ready for Robo 3000?
Just on balls and strikes, is it possible to do that? I don't.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where it'll come.
Yes.
I don't want it for anything else, though.
Mhm.
I don't want it to be to where New York is making the decision on anything else beyond balls and strikes.
I was completely down for Robo 3000. Then I was reading articles saying they still don't have it where it's 100% accurate. That it throws back null results like 1% of the time. So what do you do then when it doesn't say ball or strike? Is it a
just
redo?
Freezes.
It's
It
like, you know what it
freezes.
is, Kuhn? It's like, golf simulators sometimes miss a shot at about
Yes.
a 1% rate.
Mhm.
You have to redo it. How would that work in baseball, Billy, if there's a null result for Umtron 3000?
So, but the only thing is, I haven't read in those reports that they're on like a borderline call. A lot of it's had some trouble, like on balls that get spiked into the dirt 5 feet in front of home plate.
The obvious
skip
ones.
into the middle.
Okay.
Right? Like some of those obvious ones that you could have, and you'll still have a guy back there. One of the reasons why I like the idea of robo-umps is there's no reason why we need to have a guy standing here who's 65 years old collecting an AARP rewards every single time he checks into the
Careful.
hotel.
You're speaking to a 55-year-old
But
young
my
man.
poor man is sitting back here in danger zone, catching foul balls off the face, off the neck.
Right.
We need to protect some of these guys a little
Okay.
bit.
I think there's
A
a lot
heater
of
right into the
volunteers for
right into the
that
teeth?
tough, hard job. There's enough volunteers out there to take that off his hands.
Are there?
Yeah, I believe there are.
Here's
a lot of people that
I
would
don't
like to do
know.
that.
Not a lot of people like the hall monitors who are going to be referees and umpires.
All right. Can I pivot to football, boys, for a second?
Pivot
Pivot.
away.
Have you seen the flag that Sean Payton has planted in Denver?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This is some good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
NFL coaches used to be way more colorful back in the day before media began to scrutinize every little thing they did and said. You know, you'd have characters like Jerry Glanville and Ditka. Now everyone is so corporate and buttoned up and it's like boring, right? Well, Sean Payton has got some quotes in this USA Today article that are incredible. He first of all says, I'll be pissed off if this team is not a playoff team. And then says about why did Russell Wilson have a bad year? And he said there are 20 dirty hands involved in that. And then went on to point out, look, I don't know Paul Hackett as a coach, or Nathaniel Hackett. He said, I don't know Hackett as a coach, but he said they couldn't get plays in. He said they were 29th in pre-snap penalties for delay a game, I believe, in the league. Some bad statistic. He pretty much clobbered the former coaching staff. 20 dirty hands. You don't see coaches do that much anymore. I'm here for it. It's going to be fun. Exciting to see whether dangerous.
How many of those dirty hands were employed by Russell Wilson and how many were employed by the Denver Broncos?
That's a good point, but I guess part
50-50.
of the
10-10?
At least.
10 and 10?
Yeah, at least.
he said he goes, let's see what else was there. He goes, there's so much freaking stuff, including what is it here? He talked about what was permitted around the facility.
Yeah.
And they let Russell Wilson get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He also has a quote about the Jets and Hard Knocks.
He's basically saying, do you understand what he's saying with the Jets and Hard Knocks right now?
Here's the quote. He says, part of it was their own fault relative to spending so much bleeping time trying to win the offseason. The PR, the pomp and circumstance, marching people around and all that stuff. We're not doing any of that, said Sean Payton. The Jets did that this year. You watch Hard Knocks, all of it. I can see it coming.
Yeah, we didn't do any of that. I just talked
Flag planted.
I just talked about how great I was and how ready I was to take over an NFL program all year long on Fox Today. And now I go and do it. Now I do it. So I give credit to Peyton in that respect. He talked a whole bunch of stuff and is still talking stuff. But now let's see if he can back it up with that $20 million payday. He is trying to do what you just mentioned, though. He is still trying to be Bill Parcells light.
Right.
He's trying to be one of those 1980s football coaches that continually goes on out and makes a statement and cries when you lose the NFC title game at home, even though you get the ball into overtime. I'm excited. I'm excited to see that. I'm very interested to see if they make the playoffs there in the
Did
AFC.
you just say he cried
Yes.
after the most egregious non-call in NFL history?
Not the most egregious non-call in NFL history.
It was a tough
How
call.
is
They
that-
still blew
are
the
you
game. I'm with
serious?
Team Billy on this. They milked that to the moon and back. They blew the game. Stop being babies. It was
They
a
got the
terrible
ball in
call.
overtime with their Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right.
Yeah,
At
I
home.
fully understand that. But you mean to tell me that call
It was a terrible call.
did not set up that terrible destruction?
What sets up the terrible call when he throws on first down and then takes a timeout after second down?
Billy, I was at that game.
I know, I'm
was
just
the
asking.
That play first. The defender never turned around. The defender
Nickel
hit Tommy
Roby
Lee.
Coleman.
He hit Tommy Lee Lewis right in the head. He never turned around. He hit him before the ball got there, and he hit him right in the head. That penalty, that no call, that would have ended the game. There
Sure.
would have been no
Yeah.
overtime.
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
yeah, you got to kick
They
a
would
field
have-
goal that was closer than an extra point at that point in time.
Yeah.
But to say that was the most egregious non-call in NFL history.
It was-
I think
with
it's a little
everything that was at
short-sighted.
stake, with everything that was at stake.
It was
Tell
bad.
me one that was worse
It was bad.
with
But
the time.
But the whole city and the team and the organization didn't let it go for several years.
Ever.
They didn't move on. They took no accountability, no responsibility for. We still should
I
have won
still
the
hear
game.
Packer
Yeah, I was
fans
gonna
complaining
say,
about
that's
Jerry Rice's fumble. Are you
That's
kidding
awful.
me?
Fans, not the organization.
Not the organization, campaigning to every single committee
Yes.
possible, saying this
Right.
needs to be changed.
They-
We should have won the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. They robbed it from us.
They got reviewable
That sounds
PI.
like your Dan
they got.
Campbell.
They got.
Yeah.
They
that
got
then
re-
had to get pulled back a year later. Sorry, Zach.
Yeah, they got reviewable PI, which turned out to be the disaster many of us predicted would happen from a mile away.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, they were just bitches about it, putting referees with blind glasses and canes in the Mardi Gras parades. It just never ended the bitching about it. So
Trying
that's
to
all
take it to
my
Congress, right? To have the guy
Yeah.
never work an NFL game before again in his life.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
That said, I think my theory on that play was it was so weird the way it developed. It jammed the radar of the refs. They didn't know quite what they were looking at.
It was RoboUmp.
Well,
It was that 1% of
1%.
RoboUmp.
well, because it was just it was such
Malfunction,
it was-
malfunction.
it was such an egregiously early hit, and it was such a curiously non-play on the ball. You're like, why didn't you just play the ball?
Yeah, why didn't you just pick it off and run it back for a touchdown?
So as you watch that play, nothing made sense, and they froze basically, Mitch McConnell style. Just
This is the thing. This is the thing about Sean Payton that's interesting to me is, you know, I've seen a lot of people have a problem with what Sean Payton said. But the funny part is they're not saying he's wrong. They're just saying he's wrong for saying it. That's all anybody is saying, is that he's crossed that line of hear no evil, speak no evil as it pertains to the fraternity that is the NFL. There's not one analyst out there that's saying he's wrong when he says it's one of the worst coaching performances in NFL history. You know why? Because they all said it last year. They all said those things last year. They said the exact same stuff about Russ with people in the facility, people at the training rooms, people in hotels, his own quarterback coach. They said all those things last year.
Yeah,
And Sean Payton's just saying it now. The reason analysts are mad about it is because normally what happens is a normal coach, they would text all these analysts that are out there on the side anonymously, and they would say it, and they would get that hot take, and they would get that, you know, soundbite that, you know, is going around. Sean Payton just said it for himself. He didn't hide behind an anonymous source. He said, hey, this is, you know, there was problems last year. 20 hands, not just Russell Wilson, but 20 hands, one of which he even named the general manager that's still there in Denver.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, the guy that
Yes.
traded for him and gave him $200 million right away.
No way. I love it. See,
And-
I'm not sure I'm a huge Sean Payton fan or hater, but I'm here for the spiciness of it.
I like that he put his name on it.
Don't be surprised if that general manager is not there next year.
Oh.
Keep this in mind. Sean Payton, he ran the show down there. Mickey Loomis was the GM. Sean Payton and Mickey were picking players together.
Yeah.
They were picking rosters together. Don't be surprised if this isn't, you know, some sort of a coy to get some power play in the actual personnel department as well.
Sean Payton would never do a power play to get out of somewhere or get somebody out of somewhere.
Why 20 dirty hands?
Well, Melvin Gordon had a statement on Kay Adams' show.
Why 20?
Discussing the fact that it was all the assistant coaches that were the issue. I mean, Melvin Gordon said that Nathaniel Hackett, the bad thing is it's tough to say that he can't coach. Said he would come on in. The assistant coaches, it sounds like the biggest issue. And maybe the hiring of who you ended up putting around you may have been very, very difficult. But he said Hack would come on into the running back room while we're all sitting here confused. 3 minutes, everybody understood what was happening. But he can't coach every position.
Sure. Is there 10 coaches, generally speaking, as the core coaching staff on every NFL team, Kuhn?
I bet there's 10 on offense.
That's what I was saying. And it's not a set thing, is it? Some teams have more than others, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some teams probably have more quality
So the
control
20
guys.
dirty hands was just a sort of an even random number that he threw out there.
That was just an even random
Or
number.
it was a DVD he rented that you don't want to talk
If
about.
you asked
20
him-
dirty
if-
hands.
If you asked him to name, he would name more than 10 people. I
Okay.
would bet. If
Here,
he had
he
to
said-
name, it would be more than 10 total people.
He said, for what was allowed, tolerated in the frickin' training rooms, the meeting rooms, the offense, a lot of people had dirt on their hands. It wasn't just Russell. He didn't just flip. He still has it. This BS that he hit a wall, shoot, they couldn't get a play in.
He also gained 15 pounds and barely showed up to anything.
Wilson?
Yeah, he was flying in and out on his
15.
private jet to different workouts.
Was it all those Subway sandwiches?
Right. I mean, that
enjoying all those
dangerous is
bathrooms
tough,
in his
dude.
house. Yeah.
Kidding me? He thought he was unlimited. He could just continue to stuff and just, no, man, I'll still run on out here and play.
Kuhn, it's why your league you played in is the best unscripted reality drama in the history of professional sports. An episodic 17-week show that has stuff that you don't know what's going to happen.
And it's a shame they can't make a good reality series on it either.
You shut your mouth over there.
Yeah, he's a big
Quarterback
stop that.
stinks. Quarterback stinks.
Wow.
It's bad. It's bad.
That's the that is the one person I've heard have a negative take on it.
I've immediately stopped watching after I saw
Yeah.
everyone saying that it's now they're starting to like Kirk Cousins and all this other stuff. And I'm like, do I want to do that? Do I want to? Like Armin, I know went through, it was really hard for him. He was like, this is tough. I don't want to like
Why, 'cause
the
he's a
guy that's
good dude?
quarterbacking the Vikings.
Better yet,
know.
how about the fact they can't get volunteers for next season? They've had 4 guys turn them down already.
Jalen Hurts twice.
Can you imagine? Okay, what would be the worst at Netflix quarterback foursome or threesome? They do 3, right? What's the worst
one?
All 3 of the 49ers quarterbacks.
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. There's one. Okay.
Come on, right? That'd be great.
Okay.
Throw a
Deshaun Watson.
Sam Howell, Kenny.
Deshaun Watson.
No, that'd be the best.
No, Deshaun, be good. You know, Deshaun is now saying, well, the media's got a narrative out there.
Got a narrative out there about me.
Yeah.
Got a narrative out there.
35 women saying you're a creep is not a narrative, bro.
Not a narrative,
Yeah.
dude. Fact.
Sam Howell, Kenny Pickett, maybe. Who else would be just boring and milquetoast? Just the most uninteresting QB situations in the league right now.
I would have thought Mac Jones.
Who?
I would have thought Mac Jones, but after hearing Calais Campbell say he is one of the most egregious trash talkers he's ever faced in the NFL.
Oh, he's
Calais Campbell, one of the biggest men you'll ever meet. I mean, he is an
Mac
enormous
Jones
man.
is way too cocky for how good he is or not is.
Well, let's see how good he
That
is.
works.
With Bill O'Brien would be must-see TV on that show as well. Listen, I think if it's just the personality, I don't think Jordan would give you a whole lot, but dang, would Netflix be loving to be following around the Green Bay Packers in 2023?
All right,
They have one chance at a win. You get Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. Follow them
it's a
both
walk
this
away.
season, and you don't even need a third person.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think these quarterbacks have gotten on a Zoom call like the running backs and said we need to hold out on this to get our rates up? Because that would be a hell of a power play, wouldn't it? To say, look, we're all going to say no the first couple of times, and then that number's going to float up and up and up.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins probably told him how to do it.
Might have done just that.
Guys, see if they franchise tag you and throw you $20 million.
Kuhn, you are a fan of Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So you're pro Hard Knocks, anti quarterback.
Yeah, and Hard Knocks, even Hard Knocks sometimes can get a little.
Gets long. The
But
fourth and fifth episodes get long.
But it gives us gems. Like we'll always have the gem of the meeting in Cleveland in the coach's room with Greg Williams and who was the head coach at the time?
Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson. I say, look, I'm in charge here.
You also get the belly move on the hut.
Let's get out of here. Give me a snack.
Injuries in the preseason. Boys are going to talk about that next. 9 to noon is up. Have a good one. Josh, thanks for a great job today. As always, thanks for everyone who came to Caddy Day, and we will see you on Monday.